With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
The island of Belle Isle is known for many things: scenic views, natural wildlife, and of course the Dawson's Great Lakes Museum. But in the world of racing, it is known for a different thing entirely. One of the most beloved and fiercest street tracks in the United States, with close concrete barriers, tricky technical sections, and long straightaways, it has quickly become a favorite of both drivers and fans alike. Welcome, everyone, to the Pavement Recycling Solutions Indy Grand Prix here at the Circuit Belle Isle for the Classic Indycar Series. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth by Andrew Kinsella with our director and producer, Connery Maddock, behind the scenes. And Andrew, this really and truly is a street circuit kind of like no other. We're used to not seeing a lot of passing on street circuits, but plenty of areas to be able to get those moves done here at Belle Isle, and it is honestly one of my favorite places to come visit.
Thanks, DJ. You're absolutely right. This is a street circuit like no other, and it's such a scenic street circuit at that. It's just one of those tracks where it defies convention to a certain extent. It's really, really bumpy, but at the same time, as you say, lots of passing opportunity, especially at the end of that long straightaway coming into turn 4 there. There's going to be some real on-track action here, I think, today, and it's just one of those tracks that I think every single driver on the IndyCar circuit knows and loves.
Indeed, and let's take a look here at our schedule for the season. Obviously, at Belle Isle in round 8, we head back to an oval next time in the form of the big Auto Club Speedway before going to the Indy Road Circuit, the newly redone Indy Road Circuit, I should say, and Phillip Island, and then, of course, ending our season with the Indianapolis 500 there as our 12th round. But as we are over the halfway point here in the championship, let's go ahead and take a look at those championship standings. Up at the top of the field, it is Joshua Chin by about a 60-point margin over Henry Bennett, but a pretty close battle there between Bennett and Aiken for P2. Lucas LaVille holds on to P4 over Cameron Dance, but Dance is only 6 points behind Tim. Jamie Wilson within 10 points of Jan Hoffman there behind, as well as Robert Grosser, Franz Joseph Stum, and Randy Shoemaker, who round out your top 10. And really and truly, the question here, I think, Andrew, is going to be is if Chin can continue up his winning margins here, but he was bested in qualifying for the first time in a long time.
He was, and it was a big surprise. I think everybody sort of expected Josh Chin to come out and dominate today, but Ethan Aiken has stolen the pole right away from that number 93 Team Chimera car, and I think it's put Josh Chin on a little bit of notice here that it's not going to be the walk in the park that he was expecting here.
No, it certainly won't be, and he'll have to be on his A game to be able to claw his way back. But plenty of other good drivers there as we take a good look at the scenic view of Belle Isle. Obviously, the fountain there, one of the prominent highlights as it has become tradition to take a swim there if you are victorious, and plenty of these drivers hoping to be victorious here today. Just waiting for everything to go as they come through. Joshua Chin there, Ethan Aiken able to get back up onto the top step of the position here in warm-up. Aiken leading the way by about 0.4 of a second, and that's roughly about the same margin that he had in qualifying. It was not a small gap between Aiken and Chin, and I think that's probably some not great news for our championship points leader.
For sure. I think Josh Chin, he was expecting a lot easier of a time here today, and the fact that Ethan Aiken is so close, it's going to make it much more difficult for him.
Yes, it is, as we tick over to the race session here, and that means we are ready to be able to run you through our qualifying order here for the Pavement Recycling Solutions Indy Grand Prix at Belle Isle. Pavement Recycling Systems Grand Prix at Belle Isle. So, lining up in pole position, as we said, it is going to be Ethan Aiken over Joshua Chin to the tune of about 0.2 of a second. Marshall Stanley lines up in 6th, followed by his Vortex Sim Racing teammate of Lucas LaVille in P4. 4. Ian Hoffman and Robert Grosser make up 5 and 6, followed by Andrew Wood in 7th place. Joshua Baird will be 8th, followed then by Jamie Wilson and Sebastian Kinder in the row behind them. Franz Joseph Stum will be 11th, followed by Vesia Olia there in 12th place. Then it's going to be Hans Pitkinen in 13th, Joshua Tucker in 14th, with Chase Small and Andrew Aiken making up the row behind them. Robert Barkanow will be 17th, followed by Cameron Dance down in 18th. Then Jack Stiles and Andrew Adair Saunders, a couple of those drivers having to start from pit lane, courtesy of penalties here. But Andrew, a two-stop strategy here for the race. What are your keys here for these drivers, especially on in the early going?
I think number one is you have to be patient right at the start. It's going to be a really tricky start, particularly with the concrete walls so close together. And then it's just, again, nailing that fuel strategy that you were talking about. It's going to be very important that they time their pit stops properly, avoid traffic on the pit exit, and then finally just keeping it out of those walls is going to be a very, very important part of this race. There's going to be probably a lot of carnage over the course of these 79 laps that we're about to have here. So just keeping your car clean is going to be very, very important.
And we'll have to see who is able to best keep their car clean, as it does look like the field has formed up here on the backstretch. A shortened pace lap here around Belle Isle. About 95 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature right now. About 87 or so, 75 rather, in the air. So just kind of perfect racing conditions here for these drivers as the iRacing pace car pulls away and starts to lead the field around here through the last couple of corners, coming down through this back half of the circuit through 10 and 11 and 13 now as they go back onto this main straightaway, as there the iRacing pace car pulls off down pit lane, giving control of the field over to Ethan Aiken.
Whoa.
Oh, big pile up there in the back. That is several people taken out as the green flag flies, but we have had a massive pile up to get this race started.
Absolute carnage in the back of the field, but the main competitors in this race have gotten away clean at the front, and we have Ethan Aiken has gotten a good start over Josh Chin down into turn 4 here.
And once everything settles down, we'll go back and take a look at the replay of that incident to try to find out exactly what happens. A little bit of shuffling around there. Andrew Wood and Josh Baird going side by side as they go. And a yellow has been thrown. Safety car has been thrown, courtesy of that big checkup before the green flag flew.
And a number of drivers caught up in that, and it just looks like there was some drivers hustling around to try and catch back up, and then they didn't realize that the drivers in front hadn't gone yet, and that's about 3 or 4 positions that are going to be big damage here.
Yeah, Pitkin in there, I think, is one of the ones in particular that definitely have a little bit of problem. Aitken there as well, as we're seeing Aitken, Barkanow, Stiles, Yaliolia, and Tucker all being down in pit lane right now. There you can see the checkup. It was really all on that left side track. Everyone just stacking up into one another.
And I think it started there with, I think it was the 8 of Pitkin, and he just sort of came to almost a complete stop there, and then there was just nowhere to go.
As we take another look here, yeah, it just comes to a stop, and there you can see everyone on the right-hand side able to escape that relatively easily, but Pitkin being the one that was kind of caught in all of the action there as they went down. So a very, very strange way to start this race, obviously, and that's going to reset us here, re-rack everything for these drivers as they form back up behind the safety car.
Yeah, so it looks like, at least right now, Josh Tucker, Andrew Aiken, and Robert Barnakow, as well as Jack Stiles, might have all been involved there. Vesa Ilha Olila as well. So a number of drivers from the back of this field have not had the race start that they wanted. And yeah, it was all in that row, sort of around that 11th, 12th grid spot there, I think, is where it all started. Vesa Ilha Olila, Hans Pitkin, and that sort of row just checked up, and then when the checkup happened, everyone in that left-hand lane just nowhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely nowhere to go, and so that is what has sent all those drivers down into pit lane. I can tell you that Andrew Aiken has come down into the pits. He is now back out on track. Barncanal, Styles, Yellow Olila, and Tucker all are still in pit lane right there. Oh, as he tries to catch up, spins it, and clips coming over the bump there of turn 3, and that is going to be day done for Andrew Aiken.
Yeah, day goes from bad to worse for Andrew Aiken there, and I suspect just probably some residual suspension damage from that pileup. Probably doesn't quite look like he's going in a straight line, and just probably got a little bit loose coming over the bump. You can see here coming through one, and then he just turns into turn 2 here, and the car comes around really, really early there, and nothing he could do there.
Yeah, and we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about the difficulties of that turn 2-3 complex, their 1-2 complex, really necessarily. But even with a well-handling car, that is a place that can throw you off if you are not careful. You've got to be very, very careful on throttle application to be able to get that right. And obviously there with a mishandling car, that's going to throw him right around.
Absolutely. This place is so very difficult, like many street circuits are. The cambers in the corners are very often strange, and there's also a lot of bumps on this circuit, particularly on corner exit, like we saw there, but also coming through this section here. There's a lot of bumps that can throw these drivers around, so it's something that these drivers will all be very cognizant of, and they're going to have to be very careful of as the race unfolds.
Yes, it will, and we will have one more lap of caution. I believe the lights will go out this time by, so a little bit more time to just kind of re-rack. As now we continue to work our way back around here down into turn 3. And Andrew, my question really was, what is it like to have to sort of reset your brain like this when you're coming down on a yellow flag period?
It definitely is a challenge, but I think at this early stage of the race, it's almost sort of a little bit of a relief for some of these drivers. It'll be a little bit less chaotic. There won't be quite as much side-by-side action down through turns 1 and 2, which we know can be a real trouble spot on these starts and sometimes on the restarts as well. But I think for these drivers, it's really just a chance to sort of gather themselves, gather their thoughts from that opening lap craziness, and then finally just settle back into this race. So oftentimes I find it's more of an opportunity than a problem.
All right, we'll see if that is an opportunity for these drivers. I can tell you right now that Robert Barncanal is back out on the circuit. He has just exited pit lane, albeit he will be one lap down. So there you can see the independent driver at the number 14 working his way back through. Looks like that car is relatively repaired well. Not sure, though, if there's any lingering suspension damage as there was to Andrew Aiken. So he will be able to catch up to the back of the field here and try to be able to maybe regain that lap at some point over the course of the running. For the rest of the field, though, they're all going to be lined up behind Ethan Aiken here. Joshua Chin not able to get the jump on him on the restart. It looked like Aiken was starting to pull away. Are we going to see a repeat of that once the green flag flies?
Aiken certainly looked strong here in the early going. In that half a lap that we saw, he was really starting to pull away just a little bit. So I think that he's really caught Josh by a little bit of surprise here, and it's going to be interesting to see whether Josh can use this lap, this yellow flag, to really gather himself up and see what he can do and just refocus here.
Yeah, refocus indeed, as now everybody getting their way out of turn 13 right now, working their way back onto the straightaway, and we will try this again to get re-racked and restacked. Field control of the field going over to Ethan Aiken, and it looks like he is going to get on the loud pedal as the green flag flies, and we are back racing again here at Belle. Much better restart there for Josh Chin. He's going to be able to keep a little bit closer behind as Stanley and LaVille, those two teammates there running in behind as we work our way over turn 2 for the first time under full speed.
Yeah, much cleaner, much better start here. But we've got some drivers looking to make some moves here. That's Andrew Wood coming down the inside there, I believe, of Jan Hoffman there. The Vortex drivers were all very strong in qualifying, but the Chimera drivers, they're starting to try and work their way through, starting with Andrew Wood here.
Yeah, he's going to try to pull his way up forward to the best of his abilities. The next one on his target list is going to be Robert Grosser directly up the road. Here they come off of the run on the back straightaway going down into turn 7. Potential overtaking opportunity. You can see a little bit of a side-by-side there in the back going down into the corner. And that is Wood, I believe, holding off Jan Hoffman as they went down. So a good play of defense there for them. Plenty of battles, though, shaking their way out through the field.
Absolutely. We have Wilson and Sebastian Kinder here on screen, and Kinder was also looking at Wilson, so the Chimera driver's under attack right now, just a little bit on this opening lap. But it's been a solid start for the drivers in the top 10. It was really the chaos that happened in the back half of the field that sort of brought this race to a stop early on, but it looks like we've really got some good rhythm here going after that opening caution here, DJ.
Yes, we do. Good rhythm starting to play, and one of those trying to maximize on that rhythm looks to be Andrew Wood behind Robert Grosser here going down into turn 3. You can see just how close that battle is getting. We ride on board with the Team Chimera driver working his way through turn 4 and 5. This is an area of the track where you really can't get an overtake done, but then you've got to line this up here perfectly going into turn 6. Oh, snap of oversteer there. That's going to scupper any chance he's got on the back straight.
It will, but it's not over yet between these two. This is going to be a battle for the foreseeable future here. And one thing that we want to talk about a little bit with this battle as we are on board with Andrew Wood here is the difference in setup options that you can have at a track like this. Because it's so stop-start, because there's basically not very many medium speed corners. There are sort of two different approaches you can take with a setup. You can do a really high downforce setup that I think Andrew Wood sort of has right now, but you can also get away with a lower downforce setup, and you might not be as good in the corners, but you will be better down the straightaway. So it'll be very interesting to see which teams have sort of opted for a lower downforce strategy, a higher downforce strategy, and I think that'll play a big part in who's able to pass and who isn't.
Yeah, I think you're right there, as that was a very, very scruffy line through 1 and 2 for Andrew Wood. He's going to lose a little bit of time to Robert Grosser up ahead of him, as everybody else is relatively single file here. Taking your words of caution, I think, Andrew, of just trying to get your way through the race here and get yourself settled into that good rhythm. No need to be too aggressive, too early, and get yourself thrown off and into the wall.
Absolutely, and it sort of started here with Marshall Stanley in 3rd place. We've got a little bit of a train forming behind the Vortex driver, 3 Vortex drivers, and then, of course, the Chimera driver of Andrew Wood as well. But these drivers all settling into a battle, but Josh Chin, he's kept Ethan Aiken in his sights, and as you see on screen right now, he's putting Ethan Aiken under a significant amount of pressure.
Yeah, he certainly is, and if I were Ethan Aiken here, I would be a little bit scared for multiple reasons. One, that white and purple machine of Josh Chin is the last thing you ever want to see in your rearview mirror. And then number 2, there's also the caveat here that Chin is known as one of the best fuel savers in the business, and he could be able to try to jump Aiken in a pit stop cycle. We saw him do this a couple of times over the course of this season, and I wonder if that's the strategy Chin is trying to play here.
I think it's a distinct possibility here, DJ, especially with Chin. This isn't his first rodeo. This isn't the first time that he's had to try to battle his way back towards the lead of a race, and he knows that certainly an undercut or an overcut could play a major part in this race. And as you say, Josh Chin, one of the best fuel savers in the Indycar today. So I think all the strategy options are on the table for Chin, and I also think you're going to see a very patient drive out of him, particularly on this first stint.
Yeah, very, very collected, although he is losing just a hair of time here up to Ethan Aiken, about 0.7 of a second as they run. We take a look there at the track conditions right now, about 34 degrees Celsius, call it 93 degrees Fahrenheit out on track. That has dropped ever so slightly since the drop of the green flag. But one of the interesting things about this circuit, it's a concrete circuit, so there's a little bit of a different play in between the tires and that track surface, and when it gets a little bit hotter, that's not exactly the worst thing as opposed to running on asphalt.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. The concrete surface definitely makes a difference here. It's a very slick circuit in general. You're always sort of striving for more traction, particularly on power down, and out of some of these corners, particularly the likes of that sort of turn 3, turn 4 area, and a few others on this track. You really, really want to have good power down and get yourself a good run on these straightaways. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this track develops and how the grip sort of changes over the course of this run.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see as we keep our eyes focused here on Andrew Wood, still trying to work his way through the field here a little bit more. He is sandwiched right now between Grosser and Hoffman as he runs looking a little bit further back into the field. This is his teammate, Jamie Wilson, trying to hold off Sebastian Kinder as they go. Kinder has been really putting this Team Chimera driver under a lot of pressure here, and I think probably just trying to force a mistake. We haven't really seen him try to be aggressive with the overtake quite yet.
Yeah, I think it's really early on in the race, DJ, for them to get too aggressive at this point. They've all seen what happened on lap 1. We've already had that caution, so everybody's sort of just minding their P's and Q's at this point and using pressure rather than aggression to try and make a pass happen. But the farther we go on in this race, the more likely we are to see one of those desperation type moves. But so far, at least, it's been a nice clean start to this 10 laps after that opening caution.
Yeah, it certainly has, and we're expecting fuel tanks to be good for about 31 to 35 laps. That's about what we're thinking around here, but obviously that caution is going to push that back just a little bit, so that's when the fuel strategy will start to come into play. The big question is going to be, though, I think at this point, what that is going to do in terms of fuel strategy. If anybody's going to really, really roll the dice, I've gotta think that you're not going to be able to go on a one-stop strategy. The maximum we've really ever heard of anybody trying to go is about 37, but I don't think we're going to see anybody try to one-stop this race.
Yeah, it's really close, isn't it, though, DJ? You're looking at, under normal circumstances, a one-stop would be a 40 lap and a 39 lap, but if you can push it with that opening caution, you're close, you're just not quite there. But what you might see happen is a few drivers trying to sort of split it up in even packets, and some other drivers might be trying to extend their first 2 stints, maybe take just a splash and dash, maybe no tires on their final stop.
Yeah, that could be what we see as well. And because of the concrete surface, the adhesion here, the degradation, not normally as high, especially with just this IndyCar package as a whole on road courses, that the abrasion on the tires isn't nearly as bad. We do check back in on the lead battle right now. Aiken ahead of Chin. This gap has really seesawed back and forth between about 0.7 of a second, and I've seen it tickle down into about 0.3 of a second. So Chin definitely keeping close behind Aiken here and not letting him slip away into the distance, being able to stay within that crucial draft range on some of the straightaways around here.
It all depends on who's getting the drive out of those final set of corners there in terms of the gap at the start-finish line. We've seen sometimes Aiken has been able to eke out just a little bit, but just as quickly Josh will reel him right back in again. So it really is sort of a seesaw yo-yo type of battle that we've got going on for the lead of the race. But again, I just think that Josh at this point, he's content to just sort of sit back and let this race sort of come to him. He doesn't really seem too desperate to get in front of the 20 right now.
No, he really doesn't. He's driving a very controlled race, and we're not seeing that car move around a whole lot. It's very, very planted. Meanwhile, we check back here as his teammate, Andrew Wood, falling back into the clutches of Jan Hoffman. He had been able to get that pass done, I believe, off of the restart, but the Vortex Sim Racing driver now looking like he's in the catbird seat here, starting to push up ahead a little bit.
And crucially for Wood, he's starting to fall back just a little bit from Robert Grosser as well. So that tells me that the Vortex setup might be just a little bit stronger than the Team Chimera setup, or Andrew Wood just isn't quite as confident as his teammate Josh Chin up in second is. But in either case, Hoffman is really starting to put the pressure on the back of Andrew Wood. And if you're not 100% confident in your car, that pressure is much more important than say, the lead of this race, where the drivers are much more likely to be confident in their car and what they're doing.
Yeah, and especially at a place like this, having that loss of confidence can be massively detrimental. You have to get full commit to all of these corners to really get it, and there goes Wood around!
just as we say it, Andrew Wood makes a mistake through that turn 9-10 complex there. He spun around, and that's going to cost him a good 5 or 10 positions here.
Yeah, it certainly is, as he's going to drop all the way down into what looks like 13th before he's able to get rolling, and that is such an easy corner to do that on, Andrew. You're really applying braking as you're putting off the steering lock. Very, very easy to do, but looks like he may have just carried a little bit too much speed there going down into the corner.
Yeah, I think it's exactly as you say there, DJ. It was just a little bit too much speed, a little bit too much front brake. It caught the rear just a little bit there. And it's also a place where you have to really commit to turning in hard here. So just that little bit extra, you can see he was already loose coming through that corner, and then just the extra brake that you have to put on there spins the car around, and that's all that Andrew Wood has to do is come all the way back through this field now.
Yeah, that's it. That's all he's got to do. So no big task there for Andrew, but it'll be interesting to see if he's able to get the likes here of Pitkin and Franz Josef Stum, who are directly up ahead of him. We do check back in on the battle for the lead. The gap now at about 0.3 of a second, as we've got another spinner in the back. That appears to be Chase Small for Track Limit Racing.
And what you see here with Chase Small is another danger of a street circuit like this. There's almost no available area to turn the car around. This turn 5 here, he just gets a little bit out of shape on exit, a little bit too much power down, and the car just snaps right around on that throttle application there. So it's a mistake that's so easy to make at a track like this, and I don't think that's the last time we'll see this, but we've got a move here, Jamie Wilson potentially.
Yes, we do, as that was Kinder trying to be able to get a little bit of a move going down on Wilson. We ride on board with Kinder, wasn't able to get it done. The 87 is going to stay in front, misses the apex there coming through turn 5, but he is able to keep the car together, and that was a little bit of a scary moment for Kinder. I think he may have been put off a little bit because of that attempted overtake.
And don't look now, but behind the two of these is Cameron Dance in the 88 car. And of course, Dance had that end-of-line penalty that he had to serve at the beginning of this race. But if Kinder keeps on making mistakes like that, Dance is quickly going to be able to get back around them as well. And then we know that Dance is really, really strong on a road course. He's already 20 seconds behind our leaders, but he's still looking to factor into this top 5 here.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's definitely charging his way forward here. Your biggest mover of the race thus far, of 9 positions. The closest behind them is Andrew Adair Saunders, who is up 6 as of right now. By the way, Ethan Aiken taking the fastest lap of the race on that last go-around there, extending his gap to Josh Chin up to about 6.5 tenths of a second. But we keep our eyes focused here, as this is one of the closer battles that we have. Kinder going to be a little bit closer behind Wilson, but not really able to get the move done. I've got to be thinking, though, he is going to be looking at his rearview mirrors quite a bit, knowing that somebody like Cameron Dance is closing up behind him.
I was talking earlier about that patience and the ability to just sort of sit here and wait for Kinder. Well, now that Cameron Dance is right behind him, I think that patience is gone. I think he's got some urgency in him, and he's got a really nice run here on Jamie Wilson down this back straightaway.
Yeah, very good run indeed. Is he going to be able to capitalize on it? Looks down to the inside there, going into the fountain section, and it looks like he's not going to be able to get the move done, and all that really did is just bunch all of these 3 cars up, although a little bit of tire spin there, I would suspect, for Cameron Dance. That's going to slow him down ever so slightly as they work their way now out of the fountain section, and this battle continues to rage on.
So much pressure being leveled by Kinder on the back of Jamie Wilson, but Dance is really looking the fastest out of the 3 of these drivers, so it's always a little bit dicey when you get the fastest driver in the 3rd position in a battle, because they're the one who's potentially looking to make the biggest move here.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he does. Looks like Dance gets a good run there out of turn 2 as the gap comes down between himself and Kinder to under 0.3 of a second right now, thundering down towards turn 3. Not really able to get anything done there. They'll stay in single file order as they work their way through the next section of the track through 4 and 5. Not really going to have a chance to overtake here again until turn 7, and you've really got to be able to get that good run out of 6 to be able to do it. But look at the time there that Kinder's been able to gain on the back of Wilson, but he slips up a little bit coming out of 6. Is that going to open up the door here for Cameron Dance?
Yeah, Wilson made a mistake out of 5. It checked everyone up coming into turn 6, and then both Kinder and Dance made a small mistake coming out of that turn 6 area and weren't able to capitalize on Jamie Wilson's mistake, but you can tell that all three of these drivers are just pushing so hard right now, and I think that we're going to see a move here in the next couple of laps because something has got to give, DJ.
Yeah, something has got to give here for these drivers. Already a little bit of a look to the inside there for Dance as they came up behind going down into turn 12. Now we get on the run here to the start-finish line. Here comes a move from Dance. He's going to sweep down to the inside. You don't normally see a lot of overtaking down into one, but he's going to be able to get it done and move done on Sebastian Kinder.
Yeah, Kinder had a small slip up coming out of turn 13 there, and that was all it took for Cameron Dance to sniff a chance here. But we've also got a little bit of battle between teammates here. This is, I believe, Hoffman and LaVille.
Yes, it is. And we're going to check out the replay here coming down across the start-finish line as they work their way through. Stanley and LaVille coming around. Is that going to be a little bit of a run there? No, doesn't quite look like it. But here, a very good run going down into the corner. Ian Hoffman and Robert Grosser swapping around positions there, it looks like.
I think a little bit of team orders there from the Vortex drivers. Jan Hoffman is looking really strong at this stage of the race. Grosser's falling off a little bit in pace, so I think there was just a little bit of cooperation between the teammates at this stage of the race, trying to get the faster driver back towards the front of this field. Meanwhile, the battle between Wilson and now Cameron Dance is heated up. Dance is all over the back of the Team Chimera driver.
Yes, he is. Let's see if he can try that same attack that he did on Sebastian Kinder last time around, going down through turn 14. It doesn't look like he's going to be close enough, but if he can keep that 88 close behind, ooh, big kick up in the dirt there. That could slow him down a little bit. Lucky he was able to keep the car together coming through 1 and 2.
And one thing to note here, DJ, I just noticed this. There's a little bit of damage on the front wing of Cameron Dance's car. I'm not sure quite when that happened, but that is going to be something for Cameron Dance to worry about. He will have just a little bit of a performance loss, but it's also going to matter for his pit stop when he finally does come down pit lane.
Yeah, that's a great point, Andrew, that he will have to get that repaired more than likely when he comes down into the pits, and so that'll slow him down, and I've got to think that's going to put a little bit more impetus on Cameron to be able to want to try to move up through the field. You can see that damage, by the way, as they break down into the fountain section there on the left front wing, just turn up ever so slightly, and so that's really what it is. So they now work their way out of the fountain section, coming down through these last couple of corners into turn 11, where we saw Wilson's teammate Andrew Wood lose it a little bit earlier. Dance still looking very threatening.
He certainly is. But Sebastian Kinder, after ceding the position to Dance, he certainly isn't giving it. Oh, Jamie Wilson in the pits.
All right, and so we've got a little bit of alternate strategy starting to play itself out. I wonder here for Jamie Wilson if this is a bit of a reverse splash and dash, if he's trying to come in now, top off, and then run 2 full pit stops later on.
Well, the interesting part for Wilson is that his teammate Wood has also been in, so this might be just their Team Chimera strategy.
And you could see there on your screen, missed the box coming in and had to reverse. That'll cost him about a second or two out on track, and that is not what he needs to hear. I can guarantee you that he will end up losing that position now to Cameron Dance, probably as they run, even if Dance wasn't able to get it done on track.
I would wager Sebastian Kinder as well should be able to get around Jamie Wilson on this pit stop cycle here. That it looks like the Chimera drivers have started, but again, we have a very wide pit window here, DJ, so it'll be very interesting to watch who comes in when, and I think the Chimera drivers, as I was saying, they wanted to come down here early on and get new tires, get more fuel, but some of these other drivers, I think they're going to want to go as long as possible.
Yeah, I think they are as well. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. This is one of the reasons I love this Classic IndyCar Series, Andrew, is the strategy decisions that you have to make, mimicking full-length events here for these drivers. Absolutely incredible stuff. But we watch Cameron Dance there working his way out of turn 2. He's now got clear track in front of him and a healthy little gap of about, let's call it 6 seconds up to Robert Grosser before he's got his next victim.
Absolutely. The question will be, how much is that damage really going to affect Cameron Dance, and will he be able to drag himself back up to Grosser, or will that damage sort of affect his ability to do that? So that's something that I think we really need to keep track of. But meanwhile, We haven't talked about the battle at the front because it hasn't really changed too much, but this is probably the closest battle on track right now between Ethan Aiken and Josh Chin. And again, Chin just keeping pressure on Ethan Aiken right now.
Yeah, just keeping that gap relatively steady as Aiken goes around coming down through turn 1, loses the rear end of the car, and that's going to let Josh Chin on through.
I do not know how Ethan Aiken didn't hit anything or wasn't hit by Josh Chin there. That was a massive moment for Ethan Aiken coming through turn 1.
Absolutely massive indeed, as there we're going to watch the replay here of him coming down into the corner. Just a little bit too much speed is what I'd wager here caused this incident. Yeah, brings it in, and you can just see that car step out, and Chin with a masterful avoidance.
Yeah, it was right on turn in, DJ. Like, I would almost say that he had the wrong anti-roll bar settings or something on there. Maybe he made the adjustment the wrong way because it was right on turn and it immediately breaks loose. It wasn't even the middle of the corner yet.
No, it wasn't. A little bit of a strange incident there for Aiken. Not entirely sure what brought that on. Let's ride on board with him. Let's watch those steering inputs as he comes down into the corner. Yeah, just turns in expecting it to go and the rear end breaking away.
And that's why I think it's got to be a wrong adjustment, just a misstep there and a mistake from Ethan Aiken. But he was really fortunate that Josh was able to stay out of him there, and it's going to be a no harm, no foul situation, but definitely it's going to wake up Ethan Aiken for sure here.
Yeah, I think so, to say the least, as they go. But Aiken now finds himself in a 6.7 second deficit to Josh Chin. So he's going to have a lot of work to do to be able to try to gain back up on the rest of the field if they are able to go. This is going to be interesting to see if Chin starts to pull away a little bit here.
Yeah, this is really Chin's opportunity because, again, Aiken's heart rate has got to be through the roof. It's going to take him a couple of laps to really calm down. Meanwhile, the battle on track here, this is Pitkin, Franz Josef Stum, and Josh Baird for the 9th, 10th, and 11th positions here. This is the closest battle that we have going on circuit, and Stum has started to really crank up the pressure here on that number 8 car of Hannes Pitkin.
Yeah, it really has, and this is the battle here for 9th place as they run 7/10 of a second here for Stum. Baird also lurking in the background here a little bit, so if there is a little bit of a battle here up ahead in the road for Hans Pitkin and Franz Josef Stum, maybe Josh Baird can pick up some of the pieces.
Absolutely, and we saw that earlier with Cameron Dance being able to get around Sebastian Kinder, and then finally when Jamie Wilson pitted, he was released there, so it's definitely not the worst position to be, that 3rd car in line.
No, it certainly doesn't, especially in this case where it actually looks like Barrett is able to carry more speed on this last lap and really get the car into good position, although misses the apex a little bit there coming down through turn 11, unfortunately, and so that's going to lose him some time up the road to Franz Josef Stum. Pitkin, I think, has responded to a little bit of that action. He's now pulled ahead, and he's a full second ahead of this little battle.
And Stum, he's really driving the car in really hard into these corners. You can see he's carrying a lot of speed into the corners, but it's hurting him on corner exit right now. And that's where, as you say, Josh Baird is doing a better job carrying the speed through the corner, and particularly on exit. So I do think that we're seeing a little bit of a faster driver in Baird being held up by Stum right now, but that could easily change. The thing with Stum's tactics, though, is the way that he's driving. It's really difficult to maintain that over a long stint because you just have to be so aggressive the way he's doing this.
Yeah, and you do not want that that massive aggression necessarily to come into play too much, because you don't want to be driving aggressively on a circuit like this, otherwise it'll break away. But we will have to see, as there again we see Baird really closing up behind, but in through the fountain section, an area where he's not going to be able to get that pass done. He's got to be a little bit more patient here to let it go. Oh, but loses a lot of time there coming through turn 9.
Yeah, just through the fountain complex, Baird was a little bit loose, nothing too major, but it did force him to get back out of the throttle, and it's really lost him some time to Stum here. But sometimes that's not necessarily the worst thing. What it can do is allow him to refocus and gain some momentum back. And what can often happen on a track like this, where you get sort of focused on the driver right in front of you and you maintain a gap for so long, is suddenly having a gap like this, it allows you to get the momentum back, and it allows you to really get a good run off the corner, where before you're just sort of following in the wheel tracks of the driver right in front of you.
And we'll have to see if these drivers are able to regain their rhythm a little bit, as they all have separated out right now here as we run 24 laps in the books. We've got another close battle, though, that has shaped itself up. Robert Grosser, having been caught by Cameron Dance, now feeling the pressure from behind of that number 88.
And Grosser actually made a little bit of a mistake earlier on in this lap, and that's allowed Cameron Dance to really close up. It was almost 2.5 seconds at the line last time, so it was a pretty big mistake there from Grosser that's allowed Cameron Dance to close on here, and Dance has wasted no time in applying the pressure on the back of Grosser, and Sebastian Kinder's not very far behind either.
No, he's not. Kinder's only about 1.4 seconds behind, and I've got to think here that if Grosser maybe holds up Dance a little bit, Kinder's going to be able to have a little bit of a run as they come. But breaking down now into turn 3, Dance just slowly but surely picking his way up through the field. This battle for 6th place right now. We know Dance has got the speed, but scuppered a little bit early on by that early pit stop, remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole melee that happened on that first lap, Cameron Dance did get a small piece of that, and was one of the reasons why he came down pit lane there. But it also is a little bit, means he has a little bit more fuel on board his car right now, and it also means he can go just a little bit farther than anyone else on track right now.
Well, that could come into a big advantage there for Cameron Dance, and we've got to start thinking about that fuel stop, because we're only about 5 or 6 laps away from that pit stop window opening up. But as we continue to watch this battle, the question has got to be, when does Dance decide to make his move? That purple number 88 looking very, very good off of the corner, but just not being quite close enough to be able to send it down into turn 14 like we've seen him be able to do before. Working his way now through 1 and 2, looks like he lost a little bit of time, and that gap expands up to about 0.6 of a second.
I think this is really where you see that damage on Cameron Dance's left front wing coming into play. He's able to go really quick when he's on his own, but it's going to be so much harder for him to follow, just because he has that little bit less downforce than he really wants around here. So I think that's what you're seeing here, is Grosser's just able to do enough to be able to keep Cameron Dance through behind through these corners, and it just hasn't enabled him to get a proper run. That being said, Dance is right on the back of Grosser, and he might just have a move coming down into turn 7 here.
He's thinking about it. He's going to fade to the inside there. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers. Dance tries to keep his nose in, but Grosser able to hold off for now. A little bit of brake smoke being kicked up, and so much for Sebastian Kinder being able to keep in behind on all of this. He has dropped that down to about 2.2 of a second here at this point. Big hop of the curve there, though, for Robert Grosser, as he tries to hold on and keep a good defense here from Cameron Dance.
Yeah, Cameron Dance well known to be one of the last of the late breakers, but Robert Grosser outdid him there coming down into turn 7. But Cameron Dance, he's looking left, he's looking right, he's trying to find a way past Grosser, and he's definitely in a hurry at this point, DJ.
Yeah, I think he wants to try to get this move done before pit stop window opens up. Again, loses a little bit of time there coming off of turn 2, which is going to scupper any chance that he has to really get a move done into the primary overtaking opportunity down into turn 3. But at the same time, they're going to work their way around here, try to see. We've seen Grosser be very, very quick through this section of the track, trying to gain up behind right now. Gets a good run there out of turn 6. Is he going to be able to apply the pressure? I don't think so. He looks a little far back here at this point.
Yeah, just that little bit further back than he was last time, so he just isn't able to make that move happen. But you can just tell, looking at Grosser missing that apex there, just how much pressure he's feeling from Cameron Dance. He's pushing to the absolute limit here. So this type of pressure that Cameron Dance is applying, if he can keep on doing this, sooner or later he is going to find a way past Robert Grosser.
Yeah, and whether that's through error or through raw tenacity, we will have to find out. Dance keeping close behind here, losing a little bit of time there due to the aero wash. The gap at about 2.5 of a second as they cross over the start-finish line here. Going down into turn 1, and again, this is that area where he does seem to struggle a little bit, and I've got to agree with you at this point, Andrew, that I think a lot of that has to do with that left front wing damage.
Yeah, there's just that little bit of performance loss, but when you have that's the only real medium speed corner on the track, and when you have a medium speed corner, it's so aero dependent in order to maximize that corner. And I just think that little bit of damage, it doesn't look like a lot, but it makes a big difference on a corner like that.
Oh, but a little bit of a lock up there for Grosser. Up ahead of him. Is that the opportunity that Cam Dance needs to be able to send that car through? He's going to tuck up behind right now, but it looks like he's going to break early coming down into the fountain section. Not able to get it done there. Dance just continuing to apply that pressure, though, hoping for an error to be gained out of Robert Grosser.
Yeah, there's just so much pressure on the back of Robert Grosser right now, and Robert makes a mistake there coming out of the corner, but Dance wasn't anticipating that, and he wasn't able to find the inside lane there. But that was nearly the opening that Cameron Dance was looking for.
Nearly it, but not quite enough. He's going to have to try to keep his nose clean here, though, as they go down in through 1 and 2 yet again, working on lap 28 of 79 here for this Grand Prix at the circuit of Belle Isle. We continue to go right now, waiting to see there if that's going to fire off. Again, Dance doesn't look like he's close enough. They try to work their way around. Is Dance going to be able to get that speed going through these low-speed corners on the track right now? Trying to see here if Cameron's going to be able to do this, or if this may be a situation where he's going to have to wait until the pit stop and get that nose repaired.
Dance is much closer this time. I think this might be it for Cameron Dance. He's right on the back of Robert Grosser.
Yes, he is. He's weaving this way and that, though, trying to get it. But again, breaks early. Just not able to get that top line speed working. Ken, the 88, he is going to stay behind the number 6. Little bit of an error there again for Grosser.
And Grosser's feeling the pain right now from Cameron Dance, and those tires are certainly not in Robert Grosser's favor either at this point in the run. I just think that Dance, he's doing so much to upset the back of Robert Grosser's car. I just think at some point, Grosser is going to make that one mistake that is going to cost him the position.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. It certainly does look that way, but right now, Dance not close enough to get the attack done as they work their way through the corners right now, trying to see if he's able to do anything. Dance falls back a little bit. This battle for 6th place continuing to rage on and continuing to be our closest battle out on the circuit right now as they continue to go. But not having any attack here at this point is Cameron Dance. He's going to maybe hope for another good run here off of turn 6. We've seen him have plenty of those in the past. Gets it down onto the line, and it looks like he's going to be able to clump a little bit closer. Now, the other thing that's going to get interesting here is Andrew Adair Saunders is only a few clicks up the road here, so they are going to come upon some lap traffic in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's going to make this very dicey situation even dicier, because there's really nowhere for traffic to go on most of this track. They might just get lucky and catch Andrew Adair Saunders on a straightaway where they're both able to get by, but it's so easy for traffic to come in and play a big part because there's just simply nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, nowhere for them to go is all, as Saunders here is going to be out in front of this pair, giving a little bit of the draft to Robert Grosser as they cross over the start-finish line. They're going to be hoping to be able to catch him here on the run from turn 2 to turn 3 as Cameron Dance tries to keep on close behind, so close to the wall there. It always amazes me just how little room for error there is. But here he comes down into the line, a little bit of a compromised line there, trying to get around Saunders, but he is able to get it done.
Yeah, both of the cars in the battle were able to get by the lap car on the straightaway, so that was really good heads-up driving from Andrew Adair Saunders. But I think what I'm seeing from Cameron Dance now is at the beginning he was really all over the back of Robert Grosser. Now he's sort of letting the yo-yo effect come in just a little bit. So he's trying to time it so that he can really get a good run out of some of these corners and get a draft down the straightaway and make it into the braking zone. But it's such a hard thing to try and time, and it's going to take some time for Cameron Dance to really make that move happen.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to do it, but we do have our anticipated pit window opening up here, lap 31 to 35. That's about when we expected all of this pit cycle to start to kick off here. So about a third of the way down in this race, waiting to see if anybody's going to be opting to come down, and it doesn't look like quite yet, but this is the closest that we have seen Dance as they cross the start-finish line. But again, he's just going to lose a little bit of time there coming through 1 and 2.
Yeah, that wing damage just taking away the ability of Cameron Dance to really take advantage of this long straightaway, and that's all that Robert Grosser needs at this point to keep Cameron Dance at bay. Dance is clearly the better driver and the better car, and has the better car through this sequence of corners here. He closes right back up on the back of Robert Grosser, but just isn't able to get the drive off this corner quite to make the move happen. But this time again, he's really close here. Will he make the move happen here?
He's certainly looking to do it right now, but again, that top speed just not coming into play. A little bit of a lock up there from Grosser, telling Cameron Dance that he may have gotten into his head just a little bit. It does look like, by the way, that Josh Baird is going to opt to come down pit lane, so that is going to be one of those drivers to opt to do that. But, all right, Andrew, I got to ask you here at this point, you're in Cameron Dance's shoes. What do? Do you keep being bottled up here behind Grosser, or do you dive down pit lane?
I think if you're Cameron Dance, you're pretty committed at this point. You want to try the overcut, and I think you have to stay on that strategy. I think you have to wait for Robert Grosser to come down, use your fuel advantage, and then pass him on pit lane.
All right, there you have it from our driver and setup expert, Andrew Kinsella, saying to wait here for Cameron Dance. Sebastian Kinder also looking like he has come down pit lane here at this point. So that's going to be 2 drivers off into the pits. We anticipate the rest of the field coming through here in just a short amount of time as Kinder is able to be able to get his way back going.
Kinder back going, but it did look like just a little bit of damage there. Oh, there was a mistake there from Robert Grosser. This might be Cameron Dance's opportunity.
He certainly had a look to the inside. Now he's going to have another look to the inside. Can he be the later of the late breakers here going down into turn 7? And again, no. Shutting the door there is Robert Grosser, running a great defensive game here at about the midway point in this race.
And that was inches from disaster for Grosser on the exit of that corner there, DJ. He's really starting to struggle now on those tires. Ethan Aiken, meanwhile, down pit lane from second place.
Yeah, Aiken coming down. Also looks like Ian Hoffman and Marshall Stanley also coming in. We'll keep an eye here. Are there going to be some more takers down into pit lane? Yes, there are. Robert Grosser into pit lane. So that is finally going to free up Cameron Dance.
A big sigh of relief for that number 88 car. Now is his opportunity to try and use some clean air, but unfortunately for him, he comes out right where Ethan Aiken was merging back onto the track, so he has no clean air. This is disastrous for Cameron Dance.
And this could slow him down, as you said, not at all what Dance needed to have happen. And Aiken, not in any obligation to get out of the way here. The only advantage that Dance may have is the fact that he's got a little bit of a lighter fuel load as they work their way around, but we will have to see. Joshua Chin also coming down pit lane here at this point, so that is your leader coming in. We don't anticipate any real battle there between Chin and Aiken, as Aiken was multiple seconds down when he came into the pits.
Yeah, Aiken obviously with that mistake earlier on in the race, and the gap had sort of stabilized at that 7.5 second mark between the two of them for most of the rest of that stint. But Aiken with a mistake, and that's going to let Cameron Dance by. And we've also got a slow Andrew Wood with some damage.
Yeah, some pretty heavy damage to the front there of that Team Chimera car, but Aiken's mistake is Dance's blessing there as they go to 64. Gonna stay out on track and try to work their way around. Let's see what happened. Clips the curbs there a little bit. That's gonna throw off his line. And then coming down here into that final corner. Slow, lazy spin.
Yeah, it was on the power down, and we've seen this a number of times already today. If you get the rear tires spinning, it's just so easy to happen. And then Aiken nearly does the same thing right in the background there.
Yeah, and Aiken able to catch it. But as we said, that is good news here for Cameron Dance, who's now able to get himself into some clean air and try to put down some quick lap times. By the way, up front of the field, Lucas LaVille is your leader, the only driver not to come down into pit lane quite yet, although we wait to see here as he works his way through the back half of the circuit. I think this is going to be pit in for LaVille and Vortex Sim Racing, and yes, it is.
Yeah, LaVille down pit lane. So this is really the last of the top 10 to come down pit lane, barring Cameron Dance. One other thing to mention here is we've got some pretty heavy damage on Sebastian Kinder, who was in that battle with Grosser and Dance. So that's a shame if that's the end of Sebastian Kinder's day.
Yes, it certainly would be, as it looks like Cameron Dance is also coming down pit lane. Now, remember, we anticipate him probably having to be stationary for a little bit longer, courtesy of the nose repair and getting a new front wing on that car. We've got another driver, that's going to be Andrew Wood, coming down pit lane after suffering that damage. He's going to get some repairs done, and there we can see that nose popping back into place. So a 13-second pit stop there for Cameron Dance. That will be enough to get the nose repaired, and he'll be back out and on his way.
The question will be for Dance, though, will he come up in front of Robert Grosser? Will it be behind? It looks like it's going to be behind Grosser, despite Dance being able to stay out on those faster tires for a few more laps. That nose repair job just unfortunately has put him right back where he was at square one.
Yeah, that'll put him all the way back here, and he's going to have to regain everything. And that gap, as they came out, by the way, looks to be about 2 seconds. So he is not like it's going to be a close battle right from the downbeat. He's going to have plenty of time to try to gain back in here, and this battle is going to continue to intrigue us.
Yeah, it's good news for us. It's bad news for Cameron Dance, is the best way I can put it here, DJ. We should see this battle resume. I would anticipate in probably 3 or 4 more laps, we're going to have Cameron Dance all over the back of Robert Grosser once again.
Well, and if you look at the gap already, it's already come down by about a half a second here between Grosser and Dance. So plenty of time for that to still continue to tick away, as Dance looks like to be, he is on a full out charge here, trying to move his way forward. We've also got a nice little battle starting to shape itself up further back in the field. This is the battle for P9 with Hans Pitkinen and Franz Josef Stum, only separated by about a second.
And Stum and Pitkinen have sort of run away here from Josh Baird, who was the other car in this battle earlier on in the race. But Stum, we saw him struggling a little bit earlier. Pitkinen was starting to eke out a little bit more of a gap, but Stum has really stabilized that, and since the pit stop, he's started to reel Pitkinen back in. So I think we're going to definitely see a nice little battle here in the next few laps.
Yeah, I think we are as well, although Franz Josef Stum has lost a little bit of time there, making a little bit of a bobble coming out of the fountain section, and that's going to reduce that, or grow that gap up to about 1.6 seconds. I'll tell you what, though, Cameron Dance is hustling that car around this circuit right now. He has already got that gap down under a second, and it's now hovering at about 0.6.
It's amazing what a wing repair can do for your confidence. That car is going to turn so much better than it was before that pit stop there for Cameron Dance. So he's going to have a world of confidence now in that car and his ability to follow much closer with Robert Grosser. I think that this battle is going to go a lot different from what we saw earlier on.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there, as he gets a good run out of 13, running down through 14 right now. Going to be able to try to keep nice and close behind through 1 and 2. This was his Achilles heel on the last time these two had the battle, but this time around it looks like it's going to be Dance's strong suit. Moves out to the inside and gets ready to dive onto the binders, although I thought Grosser was going to let him have it. Didn't look like it, but still, that's going to be moved done and dusted there for Cameron Dance.
Yeah, real nice move there from Cameron Dance. Made it look pretty easy there, although, as you say, Grosser certainly didn't give the position up quite as easily as we maybe expected. I think he was sort of used to having that battle that he had with Dance before, and now with this front wing, Dance is just going off into the sunset here.
Yeah, he's already grown that gap up to about 0.8 of a second right now, and he's got about 3.3 seconds to try to close in on Jan Hoffman to be able to hold on to that top 5 that he so desperately wants here today. There you can actually see Hoffman on your screen out in front of him, and I got to tell you something, I think it's just a matter of time here for Cameron Dance until he moves his way forward.
Absolutely. Hoffman is the next driver on his list, but I wouldn't put past maybe even getting up to Marshall Stanley or Lucas LaVille here for Cameron Dance. He's certainly looking fast with this repaired front wing.
Yeah, he certainly is. And we want to take a quick moment here to thank our sponsors for the day, because they are absolutely how we get everything done here for the Classic IndyCar Series. First and foremost, we do want to thank Extreme Scoring, their new timing and scoring partner here on the Classic IndyCar Series. It is absolutely a good one there. And then the main one is going to be that Pavement Recycling Systems. Founded in 1989, Pavement Recycling Systems, or PRS, provided cold milling services to the Southern California market. Now PRS has subsequently grown into the premier general engineering subcontractor for cold milling, soil stabilization, roller compacted concrete, and cold in-place asphalt recycling in California and Nevada, with a presence in Utah, Oregon, and Washington. In 2007, PRS added the highly regarded Pavement Preservation Company, Pavement Coatings Company, PCC, adding pavement preservation services throughout California and specializing in the use of wrap aggregates via their Reclaimed Aggregates division. Both PRS and PCC are owned by PRS Holdings Incorporated and are proud to be 100% employee-owned. For more information, visit pavementrecycling.com. So also want to give a big shout out to them. Also, again, want to give a shout out to Extreme Scoring as well as Patreon. That's right. The Classic IndyCar Series has its own Patreon page. And if you are a fan of that, head on over to Patreon to be able to check that out. Get your names added there among the donor gold and platinum recipients there, and be a part of keeping this excellent league going. So thank you there to all of our sponsors for the day. Obviously could not have been done without any of them. But as we check back in, and we want to also give a huge shout out here to Hans Pitkanen, our featured driver of the week. Hans currently running right now in 9th place in a little bit of a battle here, it has to be said, with Franz Josef Stum. So we're going to give some love here to Hans as he works his way around and tries to hold off that charging number 34 from behind.
And of course, if you want to be a featured driver in the Classic IndyCar Series, then you can support their Patreon page and join the Classic IndyCar Series as well. So, but Pitkanen, he's done just a really solid race here, hasn't he, DJ? He's just been quietly going about his business. He's held off Franz Josef Stum's attacks throughout the course of this race, and he's just been, again, just a solid drive for the number 8 car.
Well, and kind of as we talked about coming into this race at a place like Belle Isle, that's what you have to do to be successful. You don't need to be here. Oh, that was a big hit into the back wall there. That was Franz Josef Stum. Oh, no, excuse me. It was Marshall Stanley.
Oh, my. Stanley was having such a good run. Yeah, and Stum was, so your eyes weren't deceiving you. Stum also had a big moment at the same time, so it's all kicking off here, DJ. 2 main competitors in your top 10, the main one being Marshall Stanley throwing away a 4th place, but also Franz Josef Stum, as we saw in the background here, you can see he just gets a little bit too fast into that corner there and pancakes the wall there right in front of Ethan Aiken as well.
Yeah, and there you see everybody having to dive to get out of the way there of the number 34. Now we're going to go back here and try to find out what happened to the number 25. You can already see the missing front wing on that car, and that's going to be coming down here. So we watch here coming out of the fountain section. Is this the same area of the track? Did he just carry a little bit too much speed in? No, he's able to keep it nice and easy through there. Where did this incident occur for Marshall Stanley?
I think it was off turn 2 here, DJ. You can see going through turn 1, he's loose, but not too loose, but then he comes through turn 2, and then just big snap of oversteer off the bump, and that's all she wrote for Marshall Stanley.
Oh, my goodness gracious. And that is going to dump him down the order here at this point as he is in pit lane. And we are getting confirmation that he is a retirement from the day. So he will be retired. Franz Josef Stum is in pit lane trying to get that car repaired as well.
Yeah, but big disaster there for both of them. And then one thing we want to mention with this driver on track here, Ethan Aiken, he has lost a lot of time here to Josh Chin throughout that sequence of events there. So he is now 18, 19 seconds back. So Chin, who was looking contested early on in this race, now it's starting to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, it certainly is. Chin, 18 and a half seconds as they run right now. And Aiken has a nice breathing room between himself and Lucas LaVille, it has to be said. That of about 10 seconds as they run. But he has got to try to hustle it up here a little bit more if he wants to try to close in on Chin. But I'm not sure if it's possible here at this point.
It's going to take a fairly significant mistake here from Josh Chin, but which at a track like this, you can never let your guard down too much, DJ. You have to stay focused, and that's going to be something that Chin is going to have to be cognizant of. Is he cannot afford to make a mistake because there's nowhere to go if you do.
Yeah, he's really just got to try to keep his race together here and not try to drive outside the boundary of the car necessarily. That is going to be the very, very crucial thing, I think, here if you are either Ethan Aiken or Joshua Chin. I can tell you the majority of our battles have really subsided here as Cameron Dance was able to get by Jan Hoffman. That's going to pull him up into now 4th place, and he does have about 13 seconds up the road to Lucas LaVille to try to gain in and maybe even try to get into a podium position here.
And I definitely think that if anyone can do it, it's Cameron Dance, especially with, again, the repaired front wing on that car. He's shown so much speed on this second stint that 13 seconds over the course of the next 35 odd laps is not going to be too much for Cameron Dance to overcome.
No, I don't think it is as well, and I can tell you that he has been steadily taking time out of Lucas LaVille to the tune of about 1 second a lap. But we continue to follow Ethan Aiken here. Aiken, in contrast, has lost a little bit of time to Josh Chin. He now needs to try to get his way by Hans Pitkinen and Andrew Adair Saunders. They're up ahead of him, and that'll no doubt potentially slow him down a little bit more depending on when he catches those cars out on track.
Yeah, Ethan, he's been having some slower lap times in the last few laps. He's down in the 116 ranges where Josh is in the low 115s. So Chin definitely has one hand on the trophies here today as he actually puts his teammate Jamie Wilson in 7th place 1 lap down.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a question here for Chin just how much of the field he's going to be able to lap at this point. As he is on an absolute tear, as he is wont to do. The Team Chimera driver always seeming to be dominant, and now you kind of get a reasoning why that he is your championship leader here at this point. I should also mention that he is going for his 4th win of the season here today, and so if he's able to do that, that would be win number 4 of 8 rounds.
Yes, and of course, the last time that we were here with CIS in 2020, Josh Chin did win the race, and there was only one other car on the lead lap, and that was Robert Grosser. So this is definitely a track that Chin enjoys quite a bit. So it's definitely shaping up to be another dominant day. I don't think, though, that we're going to see quite as few drivers on the lead lap come the end of this one, though. Oh, as Chin makes a mistake.
Oh, a very scary moment there for Josh Chin. Able to recover the car without any damage, but going off there almost into the runoff area. Let's take a look at this replay coming down into turn 3.
What did we say about having to continue to pay attention? He just misses his braking point. That's all there is to it, and he nearly puts the car in that wall. I think he was able to stay off the tire barrier there because that would have been disastrous for Josh Chin.
Yeah, it certainly would have been, and he would have seen that 20-second gap absolutely evaporate here as Chin now is able to carry on and continue on. I think you're right in your assessment there, Andrew, that it didn't look like he made any contact with the outside barrier, so that's going to be at least a good bit of relief. As we are now about halfway through our second pit stint here as they run around. Should be another 15 or so laps, and we'll start to see drivers start to filter their way back down pit lane again, and that will be what we anticipate the final stop of the race, and that's where we're going to see a little bit of that pit strategy starting to play itself out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that particularly where it's going to be interesting is in that battle for third between Lucas LaVille and Cameron Dance, because LaVille did come down pit lane a couple of laps earlier than Cameron Dance, I believe, or was it on the same lap? So It's going to be close between the two, and it's going to be interesting to see who decided to short fill this stint versus who's going to short fill the next stint.
Well, looking at those times there, LaVille with a 9.5 second stop, Cameron Dance with a 13.9 second stop, and that is largely courtesy of that front wing repair there for Cameron Dance. So we're not really going to know based off of those times who decided to short fill, and it's going to have to literally be just waiting to come down into pit lane, and that's when we will figure that out there for those two drivers.
Yeah, that wing change is definitely disguising the potential for what Cameron Dance did with the strategy. It wouldn't surprise me if Dance did short fill just a little bit, just because of how fast he's going on track. He's basically been the fastest driver on track, even faster than Josh Chin throughout this entire second stint. So it wouldn't surprise me to learn if Cameron Dance came down and short filled just a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that as well, as we do have a little bit of a battle starting to develop out on track right now between Jan Hoffman and Robert Grosser. This is the battle for P5 right now. Hoffman leading the way, but only leading it by about 7.5 tenths of a second.
And the interesting thing about this, DJ, is you recall that Jan Hoffman got around Robert Grosser, and we were speculating on maybe a little bit of cooperation between teammates on that move there, but it looks like Robert Grosser in this second stint, he's found the tires again, he's found the speed, he's caught back up to his teammate, and now it's Hoffman who's really started to struggle.
Yeah, and I wonder if that is maybe just wearing out the tires a little bit too early, driving too a little erratically early on in this race, but we will have to see. The gap does expand here a little bit as they cross over turn 2 and work their way down on the straightaway towards turn 3. It's about 8 tenths of a second as they get down into the braking zone.
Not quite close enough for Robert Grosser to really take advantage of any pace differential with Jan Hoffman, but it's going to be probably a lap or two and then he's going to be there, particularly if Hoffman keeps on making these small mistakes.
It's as they continue to go there. Those little mistakes for Hoffman coming back to bite him here a little bit potentially. That is going to be the story to try to watch out for here as they go. Trying to come in through as they go. Not really able to close down there is Robert Grosser. This is just sort of seemingly like a battle that's stagnating here a little bit on lap 48.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where, again, it doesn't pay to be too aggressive if you're Robert Grosser. You have so much time remaining, and that is your teammate in front of you. So you know that at least if you get alongside, you should expect a little bit more consideration than you might get from the likes of Cameron Dance or one of the other more aggressive drivers in this field. So if you're Robert Grosser, you're definitely just making sure that you're not making any mistakes yourself, and you take advantage of any mistakes that your teammate Hoffman makes.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you need to try to do here as they continue to go, these teammates. And if we do see Grosser get a big burst of speed, I do think we could see a little bit of that same strategy playing itself out, and that these drivers will change themselves around a little bit, that they will have some team orders to not hold each other up. I've got to think that's going to come into play.
Yeah, the issue for Grosser at this point is that it's very difficult for him to get off of these corners compared to his teammates, so he's not getting a real good run here. Meanwhile, Josh Baird has reeled himself back into Hannes Pitkinen. We talked about Pitkinen getting some gap between himself and Baird as Baird gets very loose into turn 1 there. That car does not necessarily look happy for Josh Baird there, but so Baird has really reeled in the gap to Pitkinen here, and it'll be interesting to see now that he's on the back of Pitkinen, what will he be able to do here?
Yeah, and we're going to have to see. I mean, obviously, we've talked plenty enough about that draft coming down into turn 3 and down into turn 7. It'll be interesting to see here if he's able to maximize as they work their way out of turn 6 right now. That gap looking like it is coming down a little bit, tickling under 6 tenths of a second as they run. Clearly not going to be close enough to be able to get a move done down into turn 7, but if he can start to fill those rear view mirrors here a little bit more of Pitkinen, that may be enough to be able to force a little bit of an error.
It absolutely is, particularly if Pitkinen is also struggling with his handling as well. And again, this is where mistakes are more likely when you get to sort of this area of the pack, where the cars aren't necessarily handling quite as well at this stage. As Pitkinen makes a small mistake through turns 12 and 13 there. And that's just allowed Baird to get that little bit closer, but Baird, we saw a big slide of him through turn 1 the last time. Will he have some similar issues? It looks like he goes a little bit more gingerly through there this time. Oh, big mistake number 2.
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure if that was a snap of oversteer or if that was a mechanical issue, but one way or the other, Baird hard into the wall. My goodness gracious.
Oh, that was a snap of oversteer, and it happened over the bump. So Baird, he wasn't loose through 1, but he was loose coming off a 2, and he tried to catch the car, and it caught so hard that it just flung him straight into that outside wall there. So that's the danger of losing it over a bump like that, DJ. It is, you basically have 2 outcomes. You either hit the inside wall or the car catches and you spear straight into the outside wall, and that was option 2 there for Josh Baird.
Yeah, watch his hands there. You saw that tiny little micro correction as he tried to get the car pointed the right way, and unfortunately just didn't end up the right way up there for Josh Baird. So yet another victim here of the Belle Isle circuit, as Josh Baird has now looking like he is going to be retired from this race.
So that puts us at 9 cars still on track here. It does look like Marshall Stanley might still potentially be able to come back out again, although I think he is out of the race now. But so we're quickly whittling our way down through this field. This is Jamie Wilson, who's coming in for his second stop. You'll recall that he was one of the first drivers to come down pit lane on that first stint, so not unexpected here for Jamie Wilson to be the first driver on the second stint as well.
No, exactly, and he should be able to make it to the end based off of our calculations here with about 28 or so laps left to go in this Pavement Recycling Systems Indy Grand Prix at Belle Isle. So they will have that happening there for them. So Jamie Wilson able to continue on and continue going. Well, unfortunately, that heavy impact by Baird has really scuppered one of the better battles we had out on track. Everything's starting to really separate itself out here. Cameron Dance, though, has begun to close in behind Lucas LaVille. I've been keeping an eye on this. He's worked his way through some lap traffic, but LaVille here is going to be caught here in, I think, just a matter of laps, as that is Hans Pitkinen that Cameron Dance is going to be able to get around, and now he's got nobody between himself and a podium position.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been watching the gap shrink lap by lap from Cameron Dance to Lucas LaVille, and it's not just been by a couple of tenths of a second a lap. It's been by full seconds every lap. Cameron Dance has been absolutely flying on this second stint, and he's caught right up to the back of Lucas LaVille here. So I suspect that he's going to get by Lucas LaVille here in the next few laps, judging by how fast he's going. And at this stage, he might even have a shot at Ethan Aiken in second place.
Yeah, he might. I mean, Aiken's only about 13 seconds up the road here at this point, and depending on how quickly he's going to be able to dispatch the number 1 machine, he very well could be able to get on by. But we will have to see here as they run Dance, trying to be able to get that power down. And I've got to say here, with the speed we are seeing out of Cameron Dance, this is really an issue of if they could, if they would, and what could have happened, be able to go.
Absolutely. Imagine what would have happened if Cameron Dance hadn't have had that end-of-line penalty to start this race. He would have been right up there with Josh Chin. But look at him square off that corner. He's taking a look down the inside of Lucas LaVille, thinks better of it, but it's definitely a matter of if, or a matter of when, not if, he's going to get around the number 1 car of Lucas LaVille.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there on that one, Andrew, and he's going to keep things close behind here coming up through 1 and 2. I think if he's able to diamond off the exit here just right, carry a little bit more speed, getting close out to the wall there, but the gap coming down as they work their way towards turn 3. He's going to look to the inside. Can he outbrake LaVille going into the corner? He's certainly going to try to. LaVille forced out a little bit wide and Dance up into the podium spots.
LaVille didn't put up very much of a fight there. I think he saw just how fast Cameron Dance was able to close on him, and he decided that discretion was the better part of valor there. But now Dance, the question is, with just 25 laps to go here, will he be able to get his way all the way up to Ethan Aiken? If he's able to continue putting down 15.0s like he has been, he stands a very good chance of actually getting a second place in this race.
Yeah, he certainly does. The gap at 12.5 seconds here at this point, and so now we're going to have to keep our eyes open on just how much he's able to take out. Looking at the last couple of laps, even with that pass having to be done, Cameron Dance has been able to close in on the back of LaVille by about, on average, 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, what Dance has been able to do in this second half of the stint, or second half of the race, has been nothing short of incredible. And again, it's just what would have been for Cameron Dance, what would have been if he hadn't had that damage on the first stint. Even he could have been that much closer to the lead as well. But this is the best battle on track right now is between the teammates Jan Hoffman and Robert Grosser. Grosser just hasn't been able to really get any closer to Hoffman than about 0.7, and he's in that sort of 0.9 to 1 second range right now.
Yeah, he is, and so that's going to be just a little bit of that hint of the draft that we like to talk about here, but not really quite enough to be able to keep him closing in behind as much as he would necessarily like. But there you can see just what that difference can make going down the straightaway there, 0.6 of a second separating the two.
And that draft really does make a difference. The question is, are you able to get the power down when you need it? And that's been Robert Grosser's Achilles heel so far in this race, is he hasn't been good through that sequence there. And you can see he lost about 1.5 0.2 of a second to his teammate just through that turn 6 sequence. So it really presents a difficulty if you're Robert Grosser and you're just not able to get the power down the way you need to.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't, and so he's going to have to try to do everything that he can do to sort of counteract that. And Andrew, I've got to wonder, when you're a driver in the car, we talk about those anti-roll bar changes, we talk about sometimes the tire pressure changes. What can you be able to change to help you get that coming off of the corner while you're in the car like now?
It all depends on what's causing you to really have that power down issue, because sometimes it's that the car's a little bit too loose, and in that case you want to soften the rear anti-roll bar just a little bit, but sometimes you're just pushing too much, so then it becomes a balancing act to try to free up the car just that little bit that'll allow you to rotate the car through the middle of the corner and get your power down just that little bit better. But you can't free it up too much, because as we've seen, you can get loose at a number of spots on this tracks and easily lose the car if you free it up too much.
Well, that's one of the things that these drivers do have to take into consideration there, and it's always good to have your technical expertise there when you talk about it. So we'll have to see if maybe here Grosser's able to make some of those changes and be able to fight within that window to keep things going. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Chin continues to lead from Aiken, from Dance right now. There is a view on your leader. He has grown that gap massively. It's now 27.5 seconds. Although I can tell you, Cameron Dance did just put in a personal best lap, and he continues to close in on the back of Ethan Aiken. So I think that's going to be a fight that we see before the end of this race is done for sure.
And not only was it a personal best, but it was within 100th of a second of being the fastest lap of the race for Cameron Dance, and he still has a long time left on this fuel stint where he's just going to go faster and faster and faster. So the speed is definitely there from that number 88 car. I think he's going to close up on Ethan Aiken pretty quickly here as Josh Chin down for the second stint.
Indeed, as this is the second and what we anticipate being final pit stop of the race for your race leader, coming down into the pits here with just about over 20 laps to go, as he is going to come into the rest in the box. No problems there for him as we look back a little further back in the field.
Yeah, this back with the battle between Hoffman and Grosser here, and Grosser, he started to lose just a little bit of time, and he's just not able to keep up with his teammate Jan Hoffman like he was earlier on in the stint. So the battle has cooled just a little bit here, but all it takes is one mistake from Jan Hoffman and Grosser is all over the back of him again.
Yeah, and that's what he's really hoping here for. As, by the way, just a point of how dominant Joshua Chin is out here today. He has come out of pit lane and still holds on to the lead of the race. So that is certainly an impressive run there for him. As it does look like Grosser popping down pit lane, so more of these pit stops starting to fire off.
Yeah, we're starting to get into the meat of the pit cycle now, especially with a driver like Grosser. I like this call from him because it's going to allow him to be released just a little bit from Jan Hoffman, have some clean air again, not have to deal with quite so much aero push. So it's now is the time to push if you're Robert Grosser, try and find a way to leap your teammate in the pit cycle. But here's the battle. This is a little bit of a faux battle that we've got on our hands here. Josh Chin and Ethan Aiken, but of course Ethan Aiken still needs to come down pit lane one more time.
Yes, he does, as does the majority of the field here, to be able to bring themselves down on in. Chin, really one of your only to be able to do that. But Aiken, still, it's got to be tantalizing to see Chin this close and yet to know you still have a pit stop you have to make.
Yeah, and the tough thing for Aiken is he needs to also be looking at his relative and recognizing that Cameron Dance is taking it was 1.3 seconds out of him the last lap, so he's got to find a way to use Josh Chin to maybe gain a little bit of time here, maybe use the draft effectively and find a way to dig deep and get some lap times out of his car now.
Yeah, he's certainly going to have to try to be able to do whatever he can to get his way forward, trying to be able to keep everything going and get it ahead. But still, Chin extending that advantage a little bit. Does look like Jan Hoffman is the latest driver to come on down into pit lane, making their final stop here as the 0-5.
That, of course, for Hoffman, it will be to cover off his teammate who came down a lap earlier, so it'll be interesting to see how close they come out when they rejoin there. Hoffman and Grosser should resume their battling pretty well here to the end.
Yeah, I have to think they most certainly will when everything is said and done there as they go. But waiting to see here what can happen for Ethan Aiken. That gap continuing to grow between himself and Joshua Chin in this faux battle, as you said, as we cross over here with 21 laps to go in the race.
But look in the background there, DJ. That is Cameron Dance, who just came off of turn 2. They are now within a straightaway of each other.
This is where the battle is going to be for that final area of the track. Let's see if Cam is going to be able to get this done. Only 6 seconds separating them. This would be the drive through the field. It goes without saying that Cameron Dance is your biggest mover of the day. Up 15 positions is the number 88 after that pit lane start and that problem that we saw befall them earlier on.
It's been such an impressive drive from that number 88 car. Again, what could have happened if he hadn't had to start on at the back of the field? What could have happened if he hadn't had that damage on that first stint and that held him up so much, as we are clearly seeing now? He could have definitely been in the factor for not just a battle for the podium, but a battle for the win.
Yeah, I certainly think you're right. He could have been a major contender here today, and it is just absolutely decimating to see him having to resort to fighting his way back up through the field. He was able to take about 1.3 seconds out on lap 58. Let's see as he crosses over. Now 9/10 of a second taken out on this last lap for Cameron Dance. He is coming on like a train with a full head of steam.
At 20 laps still to go for Cameron Dance, and he's only got just over 5 seconds now to Ethan Aiken, so Cameron Dance is coming.
Yes, he is coming on and coming strong here as Lucas Laville is the latest to dive down pit lane here on lap 60. The Vortex Sim Racing driver is going to be coming on into the pits. Looks like that is a pretty standard pit stop there for him, so he will be out and on his way. I think he may even be able to maintain 4th place as he works his way out, and indeed he will.
Yeah. Laville's sort of on his own little island now that Cameron Dance has got by him. He's got a long way back to his teammate Jan Hoffman in that 5th position. Meanwhile, Grosser has started to eke back into Jan Hoffman, but Hoffman did get a little bit of a sizable advantage over Grosser in that pit stop cycle there. So it came out at about 3 seconds in favor of Jan Hoffman there, and when it had been about 1 second before the pit stop. So Grosser's starting to get back towards his teammate, but he's got all the work to do ahead of him now.
Yeah, he's got all that work to do, and Grosser does have 2 seconds to try to be able to gain it in, so we're going to have to see if he's able to do it, if he's able to keep behind, if he's able to keep on going. But this battle has ebbed and flowed over the course of the run, so we will have to see. But now that both of these drivers have taken their pit stops, it's a final duel to the end for them in these dying stages of the race. Working lap 61 of 79 right here around Belle Isle.
Yeah, so we're getting into the waning stage of this race, and we only have 2 more pit stops that really matter, and that's Ethan Aiken and Cameron Dance, and after that we should be free and clear. But Cameron Dance, again, he's just taking chunks of time out of Ethan Aiken. That was another 9/10 of a second. Cameron Dance again flirting with the with the race record here. So he's doing such a good job there.
Yeah, he really is. He is absolutely hustling, is I think the best way to put that, as he goes, trying to get everything that he can out of the car. Meanwhile, we still wait for both he and Aiken to come down into pit lane. The gap looking at about 3.5 seconds right now, as Cameron Dance does set the fastest lap of the race with a 14.248, taking a full 1.4 seconds out of the gap there to Ethan Aiken.
Not only did he take 1.4 seconds out of the gap, but he took half a second out of the best lap of the race there. So that was just an absolutely mega lap from Cameron Dance.
Yeah, it doesn't get a whole lot better there if you are in the 88 to be able to see those kind of numbers flashing across the screen. Josh Chin not looking like he is pushing nearly as hard here at this point, as he's only got about 1.8 seconds away from Ethan Aiken, and that gap has really stabilized. Remember, Aiken and Dance still owing us a pit stop here in the waning stages, so we're still waiting for that to play out, and it'll be interesting to see here if Dance is maybe able to do that overcut again. It didn't work out for him in the first part of the race, but it may work out in the second.
And then the other question I'll have here, DJ, is who takes tires and who doesn't? If you're Ethan Aiken, if you're Cameron Dance, how much are you saving? As it looks like Aiken is down to pit lane this time by.
Yes, indeed. Ethan Aiken is going to come on down into the pits, and that is going to release Cameron Dance. He is going to be up into second place of the race, making his gain total for the day up 16. We watch Aiken as he works his way down. Let's see if there's any sort of problems here for the drivers. He's going to come to rest in the box. Nice and easy there. No problems. Up onto the jacks. Looks like that's going to be a pretty easy pit stop.
So that does mean that Aiken is taking tires here. So despite the speculation, it does look like the tires are the way to go. It'll be interesting to see if Cameron Dance does the same thing. Oh, this is going to be a problem for Aiken, though. He's come out right behind Hans Pitkin in the lapped car, so that's not the clean track that Aiken was hoping for. This is going to play, again, right into Cameron Dance's hands here.
Yes, it is, and so that is going to help Dance hopefully be able to get himself up and ahead a little bit more, as now the full gap between Dance and Aiken will start to reveal itself just in a little bit of time here. By the way, the gap between Aiken and Chin is about 32 seconds. It looks like there the Pitkin is getting out of the way, letting everybody out and on through. So that is going to be a nice gentlemanly move there for Hans Pitkin, as now Ethan Aiken's going to have some clear track in front of him.
Gentlemanly move, but how much damage was done there, and how much time can Cameron Dance take out of him on these low fuel load worn tires? But again, we've seen the best times of the race have been sort of on these worn tires, so I think that really it's an advantage Cameron Dance at this point. I think he might not even have to make the move on track. I think he can do it in this pit cycle.
I think he might be able to do just that as well, as we've only got about 15 laps to go here at Belle Isle, as we continue to work their way around, waiting for Dance to come on down pit lane. He will have been the driver to take this stint the longest, Hans Pitkin, and the only other one to have been able to keep it going here at this point. But Dance continuing to put in those very, very good laps, those very, very quick times. He is just trying to hustle here to see if he is able to make that move over Ethan Aiken when it comes to the pit stops.
And at a track like this, as much as Cameron Dance has shown that you can pass here, it's so much easier to make a move on the pit cycle than it is to make a move on track. It is one of the street circuits that you can make moves on, but again, you want to make that move in the pits if you can.
Yeah, it just saves you a whole lot of agita to be able to get that done in the pits. It really does save you a lot of time and a lot of control and worry as they go. But here comes Dance working his way now down through this slow section of the track. I've got to imagine here that he's going to be coming down in the next 2 or 3 laps at maximum here, Andrew.
Yeah, you shouldn't see him go too much longer than this. I really think that he's going to need to come down here sooner rather than later. But again, the question for me is, will he even take tires? Will it just be a quick splash and dash for him at this point with only 15 to go?
Yeah, that's going to be the real question is there. Hans Pittkinen does come in and out of pit lane. 7.8-second pit stop. There's another look at your leader, Joshua Chin, as he now is out in clear sailing of this race. Cameron Dance about 4.5 seconds behind him, but looks like he is able to keep himself going nice and clean. Joshua Chin just doing what we've really come to expect from him over the course of this season, on his way to what appears to be his 4th victory of the season. And as here comes Cameron Dance for Orbit Motorsports down pit lane.
Yeah, so this is where it all comes down to for Cameron Dance. Will he be able to get by Ethan Aiken on this pit cycle, or will it be on track? It was looks like a 4-tire change and some fuel there for Cameron Dance. So Aiken just making his way through the final set of corners now. I think Dance has done it.
I think he has as well, as Dance is released, and there is Aiken. Dance up into P2 with 14 laps to go. Ethan Aiken having no response. That is going to be Cameron Dance up into the 2nd place position from a pit lane start in an early pit stop. And let's not forget the damage that he had earlier in this race.
Yeah, what a drive here from Cameron Dance. It's been an incredible to watch just how fast he's been able to push this car. And the most impressive thing to me, DJ, is he hasn't looked out of shape at any point in time in the second half of the race. He's just been quietly pushing and not doing anything wrong and not taking any risks. Oh, we've got a big issue for Jan Hoffman. That looks like he might have thrown away a 5th position here.
Oh, it may indeed, as the front wing is missing from that car, and that's going to indicate some pretty heavy damage there to the Vortex Sim Racing driver. We try to go back to check out a replay here of exactly what happened. Looks like this is coming down through the corners right now. I believe that's turn 5, coming down now into turn 6. It looks like he's able to keep it together, and then the car just steps out on him.
Yeah, I think what happened there, DJ, is he got the wall on the inside of the corner right at the apex, and I think that might have broken his suspension. And then when he came to corner exit, he put the power down, and it just hooked straight left into the wall.
Let's watch. Yep, I think you called that absolutely right there, Andrew, as that looks like exactly what happened there, that he did catch that inside coming through turn 6. Very easy to do, as you need to carry as much momentum as possible through that corner while simultaneously trying to be able to keep the right line.
Absolutely. That corner is such a high commitment corner because it sets up your run through that long back straightaway and into that turn 7 area. So it's so important to try and maximize how you get through it. But if you take that just that little bit too much, exactly what happened to Jan Hoffman can happen. And Robert Grosser did a good job avoiding his teammate, and that slotted Grosser up into a top 5 position now.
Yes, it did. So Grosser now is going to be pretty pleased with that, I have to think. But that is going to really alleviate most of our battles out on track, as Joshua Chin leads by about 28 seconds here. We watch Ethan Aiken having a little bit of problems there, coming down out of the fountain section, locking up ever so slightly. And he's about 6.5 seconds behind Cameron Dance, who's been able to charge his way up through the field, up 16 positions to take on to 2nd place.
And keep in mind for Cameron Dance, you see on the board right now that we only have really 8 drivers still in the field, but Cameron Dance, he moved his way up through this field through skill and passing. He did not really have hardly any of those positions handed to him. It's been such an impressive day for Cameron Dance.
Yeah, it really and truly has, and it is absolutely remarkable here to see that purple number 88 just working its way through as it did. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, coulda, woulda, shoulda, just in terms of what could have happened if he wasn't all the way down into that starting position, if he had been able to get his way up into the mid-pack even when the race started, instead of having that pre-race penalty.
Absolutely, and it's going to be probably bittersweet because of that for Cameron Dance, knowing just how fast he was. On the one hand, he'll be very proud of the drive that he's put together today, but on the other hand, he'll definitely be thinking about what could have been, what would have been if he had been able to just start from the front and battle with Josh Chin right from the start, because I think we would have been in for a real treat there. But as you say, the battles are starting to thin out just a little bit here, DJ. So I have a question for you. Obviously, this is the classic IndyCar series, and they recreate classic IndyCar events. So this Belle Isle race isn't going anywhere for them. But in the real world, we have them going down and no longer going to Belle Isle, but going to downtown Detroit next year. What are your thoughts about Belle Isle being replaced by a downtown street circuit?
I am a huge fan of this Belle Isle circuit. I really and truly love it. I've been able to go to the race a couple of times. It's a great environment, and I am so sad to see it go. I understand the sort of environmental concerns and all of that this is technically a nature preserve and all of that, and having cars running on it isn't exactly the greatest scene. But I don't know what I feel about the new downtown layout yet. I want to see cars on it to really get an idea of how they're going to run around there. But I think missing Belle Isle is going to hurt. This is just such a wonderful circuit. How do you feel about it, Andrew?
Yeah, I think I'm with you, where I think if we have a really good race in downtown on the street circuit down there, I think that it'll alleviate a lot of the sadness that you feel. But as we said off the top here, this is a really unique sort of track where, again, you're going through a park, and it's such a picturesque circuit, but it is a street circuit. It almost combines a little bit the challenges of a natural terrain road course with a street circuit to a certain extent. So it's definitely going to be sad to see it go.
Yeah, it really and truly is. And, like we said, that we'll see with Detroit. Obviously, that long drag down to the hairpin could be pretty interesting to see how things play out. Obviously, and also it being directly downtown, having the headquarters there. Oh, Josh Chin, very sideways.
That was another moment there for Josh Chin where he nearly threw away what is a sure victory at this point. He's 25 seconds clear of Cameron Dance. Dance is taking a lot of time out from Josh Chin, but you can't be making mistakes like that if you're the number 93 car.
Oh, no, you cannot. That car getting very sideways. And we'll have to ask him about that little bit of a moment when he comes up to the booth a little bit later. But back to the point, there could be some good racing at the streets of Detroit, and the background is going to be very cool. I'm always a big fan when you're able to put a street race right into the heart of a city. I think that really does add a lot to it.
Absolutely, and I definitely think that good racing sort of cures all complaints at a certain point. If you have a track that's really conducive to racing and to side-by-side action, that's really all that we're looking for as race fans at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And, if you look at, for example, the Nashville street circuit that IndyCar runs on today, that circuit is a little bit crazy as you look at it, but it's produced some pretty interesting and sort of fascinating races over the 2 years that it's run there, and at least to me, dispelled some of the problems that have had it because the races are just so bananas.
Yeah, chaos can sometimes be good. It's one of those things where you don't want chaos every race, but you do want it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. As we watch here, Hans Pitkinen in 7th, running right now, our featured driver of the race. So giving him a little bit of love. He's got about 8 laps to go around this Belle Isle circuit. By the way, he is 1 lap down here at this point. Josh Chin has been able to lap the field all the way up to P4. Lucas Laville, your last driver on the lead lap.
And a shout out to Hans Pitkinen, because he's really the driver today, DJ, that has probably kept it the cleanest out of everyone. I don't think I've seen him put a wheel wrong. He's just been quietly going about his business, and he might not be finishing on the lead lap here, but he's finishing it, and that's more than a lot of drivers can say here today.
Yeah, very much so. And, I think here for Laville, he's definitely seemed, or for Pitkinen rather, he really took the mentality, I think, that you said to heart here, Andrew, that you need to just be able to focus in and finish this race. He's not driving outside the means of the car. He is just focused on bringing this thing home. And for a driver, sometimes finishing a full-length race like this can be just as important as taking home a victory.
Absolutely, and particularly with the high attrition rate that we've seen today, it's going to be a good points haul for Pitkinen, and every point counts at this stage of the season. You're setting up for the last 4 races of the season. We've got 2 super speedways coming up, 2 more road courses, so every point counts in a season as short as the CIS series has.
Yes, very, very much so. So being able to get those points in is going to be very, very crucial. And I, for one, am very excited about the 2 super speedways that we head to. Obviously, Auto Club, which is, I live in Los Angeles, so it's the closest super speedway to me that I'm able to see racing at. And then my home track, being born from Indianapolis. So 2 circuits that are very near and dear to my heart. And I'm so happy to be able to call those 2 races.
Absolutely, and they're 2 racetracks that have produced some fabulous action with this car in the real world as well. So we know that we should be in for a treat both of those times. Obviously, the next one up being Auto Club. I can't wait to see what happens on that big D-shaped oval.
Yeah, it's such a great track to go visit. Obviously, that and its sister track of Michigan always seem to produce good racing. I completely get why we're not there in modern IndyCars for safety concerns, but that is one of the joys of the iRacing simulator, is that you're able to set these cars loose and see what they can do.
Absolutely, that's why we love watching these cars in the virtual world, is that you can have the fantasy tracks, you can have the fun that you can't necessarily get away with in the real world, whether it's safety, whether it's financial. We can have Indy cars at Spa-Francorchamps and stuff like that. It's so amazing that we live in a world where we can have this.
Yeah, it really and truly is. And kudos here to the Classic IndyCar Series for putting together this schedule and all that it entails. So very, very good to be able to see that as we focus here on Robert Grosser, holding on to that 5th place position right now, about 22 seconds back of Lucas Laville, the first car a lap down on the day, as we continue to work our way around here with about 5.5 laps to go here for Josh Chin to take victory.
I'd say it's all elementary for Josh Chin at this point, but we've seen 2 mistakes already from Chin that have nearly cost him the race, so I don't think that I'm going to count my chickens before they've hatched if I'm Josh Chin. And certainly Dance, he's not been taking quite as much time out of Josh Chin, but he has slowly been eking his way towards that number 93 car. Obviously, without a mistake from Chin, he's not going to catch him, but if you're Chin, you definitely will be recognizing that Dance has been slowly getting slightly closer and closer lap after lap.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that you've just got to try to keep yourself focused on, I would have to imagine, if you're Josh Chin. It's not going to be too much of a concern, but I do think that that could set a little bit of a warning sign going forward into the last 2 road rounds of the season for Chin in particular, that he knows, and not that he didn't know to begin with, but that Dance has got the speed and that he will be charging on and wanting to make as much ground up on the number 93 as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, I think you're 100% correct that it's not necessarily a warning for today, but it is definitely a warning for Phillip Island and for Indy Road as well. It's going to be, I think, a knockdown battle between those 2 drivers. And of course, Henry Bennett, who's not here today, but is in the championship battle and is always very stout on road courses as well. So today has been a little bit of a walk of the park for Chin, but I don't think that is going to be the case for any of the rounds going forward here.
No, I don't think it will, as well as this is a little bit of an outlier track here, both in the way that it races and in the way that it has raced. The race has played out today for Joshua Chin, but he takes 4 to go at the line here, just keeping everything together. And Andrew, you've been in this position before, coming home to victory. How do you try to keep those thoughts out of your head and keep focused on the road, especially at a track like this that we've seen can bite so hard?
It's really all about just taking it corner by corner. You can't be thinking too hard about the situation. You just have to be focused on getting through each corner the best you can. And part of it is, while you don't want to take risks, you do want to still be pushing the car a fair amount, probably 90-95%, where you're not underdriving the car, but you're not overdriving the car either, and you're just keeping yourself engaged and really just, again, focus on that corner, focus on that apex, and doing the best you possibly can with that corner.
Well, and we'll have to see if he is able to do that for the final 3 laps to go, because he gets that signal there from Barney the Flagman as he crosses over. The gap between himself and Cameron Dance does look like it's stabilized a little bit there. I think Dance maybe backing off a little bit, taking a bit of your advice as they go. But Chin working his way through. Now, you know what? I take that back. Cameron Dance still running that thing ragged there as it got a little bit squirrely coming down through turn 12.
Yeah, I don't think it's been so much that Dance has been backing off as Josh Chin has been turning up the wick just a little bit, but Dance with a 14.4 that last lap to Josh Chin's 14.7. So Dance certainly still pushing right to the end here.
And that's really one of the things you love to see here out of this IndyCar series is these drivers that are continuing to push right up until the bitter end, just keeping it as strong as possible all the way around as we watch Cameron Dance here working his way down through the circuit, coming out onto the back straightaway here as Joshua Chin already through the fountain section right now.
And if you're Cameron Dance, the other incentive is you never know if something happens to Josh Chin on that last lap. You never know just how much time you're going to need to get around him as Dance gets very loose coming out of the corner there. That was a nice save there. But you can tell that Dance is not letting up. And again, it's simply because if something happens to Josh Chin, maybe it's I needed 25 seconds and I only had 27. So you have to be willing to push if you're Cameron Dance.
When you saw there, all kinds of sideways, able to gather that car back up underneath him. An amazing catch there from Cameron. It just shows you that he still is in control of that car, even with as long as this race has gone along. A very, very impressive streak there for him, it has to be said. But there is your leader, Joshua Chin, making the braking zone down into the fountain section here for the penultimate time. And really and truly, I mean, we said from the outset of this race when he was behind Ethan Aiken and it looked like he was just sort of biding his time, this has been, it's seemingly Chin's race to lose from the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, it really has. Ethan looked like he might have something for him early on, but then quickly, as soon as Chin got around him when Ethan made that mistake, it's all been Josh Chin for the rest of this race. And it's just been one of those drives, one of those days for Josh Chin, and we've seen it a number of times this year. He's minimized the mistakes, and the mistakes that he did make today, it didn't cost him anything. So that's been the important thing, and that's been the barrier between what Josh Chin could have been as a driver in this series and what he is this year, just minimizing those mistakes, and it's been, again, a really solid drive.
A very, very solid drive indeed as he has crossed over the start-finish line there to take the white flag from Barney the Flagman, working his way down through turn 6. That's going to be Jamie Wilson up the road from him, about 2.7 seconds to be able to catch up to him. I don't think Chin is going to have to deal with him before the time the checkered flag falls.
I think even if they did, teammate Jamie Wilson would be more than happy to get out of the way of Josh Chin at this point, because nothing is going to stand in the way of Josh Chin and the checkered flag at this point, DJ.
No, it certainly is not, as Chin now works his way down through turn 12, bringing the car around through 13. One more corner to go as he already starts the celebrations, weaving back and forth through turn 14 and takes the checkered flag, and with it, victory at Belle Isle does Joshua Chin. Great run there for Chin, as we said. Absolutely incredible stuff. We've got to wait a whopping 27 seconds for Cameron Dance to be able to come back across the line himself, as there he will come to the line again. A great run back up through the field there for Cameron Dance. For me, that is the drive of the race.
I was going to say, it's amazing to think that we have a driver winning by 27 seconds and he's not the driver of the day, but truly Cameron Dance's drive through this field from the back, really, really impressive stuff.
Very impressive, as here comes the third place, and let's not tarnish any of the podium finishing here of Ethan Aiken for Iconic Motorsports, as he was able to hold on to that and get a very, very good run as well. Waiting now for the last couple of drivers to come across the line. Looks like Lucas LaVille in 4th and Jamie Wilson in 6th are going to be the last two to come over the line here to officially take the checkered flag at Belle Isle, as there goes Jamie Wilson, and that will finish out your field there for the race today. The Classic IndyCar Series presenting the Pavement Recycling Systems IndyCar Grand Prix from Belle Isle. Again, Josh Chin able to take a Dominant victory here as we get ready to run you through the final finishing order on the day. Everyone congratulating the winner, talking back and forth over the cons as they go. And here is that final result. Chin from Dance from Aiken, your top three, followed by Lucas LaVille, the last driver on the lead lap. Robert Grosser came home in P5, 1 lap down, followed by Jamie Wilson, with Hans Pitkinen and Andrew Adair Saunders 5 laps down. Then we get into some of the drivers that had a little bit of problems out on the track. Ian Hoffman and Joshua Baird finishing 14th and 30 laps down, respectively. In 11th, it was Franz Joseph Stum, followed by Marshall Stanley, Andrew Wood, Sebastian Kinder, Chase Small, Robert Barnkanow, Andrew Aiken, then Jack Stiles, Vesi Yalaolila, and Joshua Tucker rounding out your 20-car grid here for today. And I've got to tell you, that was quite a race to be able to take a look at, quite a race to be able to watch, and quite a victory here for Josh Chin.
It really was. We had a lot of battling early on, some chaos on the opening lap, but Josh Chin emerged through it all, and just a dominating performance here from your championship leader. And it really shows why he's been winning this championship this year. Is all the mistakes of years past are gone by the wayside. Now it's Josh Chin's championship, and it was his race here today.
Yes, they are, and a really, really great run is there. You see Josh burning it down out on the main straightaway. He is going to be very, very pleased, I think, here to be able to not only extend that championship win, but to be able to get them there as we wait for some of these drivers to maybe filter their way into the commentary booth. As we look ahead here in 2 weeks' time, Andrew, we will be back on September 18th for the next race at Auto Club Speedway there, and that is, as we already said, one that I am very, very much looking forward to.
That should be a really good time there at Auto Club. But again, these cars originally designed to go around super speedways like Auto Club, so it really is the oval racing that brings out the joy of these cars. And Auto Club, as we were mentioning, just one of the best speedways in the nation, and it's a shame that they don't go there anymore. But Indy Road, Phillip Island, and of course the big one, Indianapolis 500, is really the thing that we're all building towards here.
Yes, indeed it is, as we've got a couple of the drivers ready to talk to us here today. And first off, it is going to be our winner, Joshua Chin. And Josh, a pretty dominant race out there for you. I want to take you back to the very beginning with Ethan out in front. Were you biding your time there a little bit, just kind of waiting for the pit stops to fire off, or were you in attack mode early on?
Oh, it was a little bit of both, kind of attack mode, kind of trying to just bide my time. I figured we were pretty equal in pace, and it was going to be one of those things where whoever made the first mistake wasn't going to be the person who won. And unfortunately, Ethan spun out and kind of put it in my lap to just run away with it. But yeah, that first stint was really just kind of trying to push and stay with him as much as I could before that happened.
Well, then as the race progressed, you obviously put yourself into a great position. Couple of scary moments, though, out on track. We saw you slipping and sliding there a little bit. How nerve-wracking was that behind the wheel?
Up until the mistakes happened, it was fine. It was just difficult to try and actually kind of stay consistent. One thing I've learned about this place is you just kind of have to always be attacking. If you give up on it a little bit and just kind of cruise, it'll come back and bite you pretty quick. So if you stay on the attack, you kind of get through those sections a lot better. And yeah, turn 3 was kind of the problem spot for me. I didn't really have a solid braking marker all weekend, and probably went too hot in there about 3-4 times, and finally kind of found a spot after the second time.
Well, I've got to ask you, though, we head back to another oval next time out, a super speedway in the form of Auto Club. What are you doing to prepare for that? I mean, is there much you can do because it is so much of pack racing, or is that kind of you've just got to be ready in the moment type of race?
We had a good car last time at Auto Club 2 years ago, so I think we'll have a good car again. It's weird that I don't remember if we race during the day or during the night this time around, but last year during the day, it actually kind of got strung out a little bit. Not quite IR18 style, but it wasn't really, 2, 3 wide through the pack. It was kind of single file and people working on handling through the race. So if that's the case, we still have a good car for it, and hopefully it pays off.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world when you get there, Josh. But as for today, is there anybody you want to thank for this victory?
Gotta give a big shout out to everyone, Team Chimera, Team Talent. Andrew had a bad race, but he had a good call with doing some things on the setup, and it worked out really well. I was kind of chasing my tail all week, and he set me back in the right direction. And Jamie for getting a good sixth place and good team points for us.
Well, there you go, Josh. Congratulations again on the run, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time at Auto Club.
Thank you guys.
All right, that was your second place finisher there, Josh Chin. And now, Andrew Kinsella, I believe you have caught up with Ethan Aiken here, Cameron Dance, our second place finisher on the day.
So Cameron, it was a bit of a wild start, but you really turned it on in the second half of this race. What happened there on that start there?
Just looked like someone at the front sort of checked up a lot, and then obviously everybody sort of backs each other up, and from that point, everybody had to stop. I came to a complete stop. I actually slightly ran into the back of Andrew Aiken. Luckily, didn't get any front wing damage, but then off the restart, can't remember who was in front of me. I think it was Andrew Saunders or someone like that. But they checked up massively as well, and then broke my front wing. So kind of had to drive around the first stint with a sort of half broken front wing. But no, otherwise, once I got a new front wing, it was all pretty much clean sailing from there with heaps of pace.
Yeah, we were monitoring your progress through the field really closely there. What was it like just being able to hunt down drivers in front of you like that? Because we saw you pick off probably 3 or 4 positions that were 10, 15 seconds up the road.
Oh, it was unbelievable, to be honest. I mean, the hybrid tune machine that we've got was just absolutely incredible. And, like, to be honest, I would have thought we had a hybrid powered unit on board, to be honest, with how quick we were catching everybody. But no, it was really, really good. We had some really, really good pace, luckily. It was just so good to manage to recover so well, especially after starting down the back and then obviously having those dramas early on as well. So, yeah, really, really happy with the result.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron. We'll let you go with one final question here. 4 races to go. We've got Auto Club coming up in 2 weeks and then a couple of road courses. What are you looking forward to as we set up for Indianapolis for the finale?
Cali's going to be interesting. I've done a couple of races around there before with the current gen Indycar, so it'll be fascinating to see what it's like in this old thing. But yeah, looking forward to obviously the Indy road course and I think Phillip Island as well. So well, give those a red hot crack. Hopefully we can get a win in those 2 road courses, but we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks so much, and congratulations again for your drive through the field here today.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
All right, that was Cameron Dance, your second place finisher. And now I believe we have been able to catch up with third place driver Ethan Aiken. And Ethan able to put it on pole there for today. A little bit of a bobble. If you hadn't had that mistake, could you have fought for the win, you think?
No, Chin was just out of this world today. Even if I did, like you said, if I did not spin, my car handling was going away a little bit, and there was just nothing I could do there.
Well, as that started to happen there and that played out, talk to me through your mentality through the middle part of the race, just trying to run around there. And when did you start to see Cameron coming up behind?
I saw Cameron coming by when after that first pit stop, and it showed that he was 24 seconds behind me, and he was gaining like a second a lap. So I was just trying everything I can to keep it away from him. But I don't know what his setup was, but he was flying definitely faster than Chin. I would say if he didn't get the penalty from Gateway, he probably would have won this race.
Yeah, he certainly looked like he had quite a bit of speed there, but we closed down the season here. Last 4 races as they run, coming down into Auto Club, Indy Road, Phillip Island, and Indianapolis itself. What are you looking forward to? What are you maybe dreading a little bit?
Man, definitely looking forward for Auto Club because Icon Motorsports is very good in the 2-mile sets, and definitely Phillip Island since I won there last year. But anyway, I got a long way to catch up to Chin. Hoping we could get win every single other race, but just got hope for the best and see what we can do.
Well, we wish you all the best, Ethan. Is there anybody you want to thank, though, for this third place here today?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone from Iconic Motorsports. They support me ever since I joined this team later the last year, and also my family for supporting me as well. And just a lot of things to say thanks for.
Always good to be able to do that. Thank you, Ethan, and congratulations again on a podium finish here today at Belle Isle.
Thank you.
All right, that was Ethan Aiken, your third place finisher here today. And as we continue to go along here, Andrew, really and truly good stuff there from them, and a great race out on the streets of Belle Isle. Everybody working their way on through as they go. As it looks like we've got one more interview for you. Lucas LaVille ready to talk to you, Andrew.
So, Lucas, it was a little bit of a quiet race for you for the most part, but you had some excitement there with Cameron Dance barreling down on you in the middle of the race.
Yeah, quiet is the word. Pace wasn't really there. I'm not happy with the way I drove. I guess the car wasn't fast enough. Marshall was the fastest guy the whole week, but I don't know what happened with him, and we didn't really have the pace. Cameron was flying, really. I mean, I was watching the lap times while he was coming through the field, and it was really impressive. The top three were really out of reach for us today, so this is already I could have gotten today.
Yeah, and you mentioned the setup, but talk to us a little bit about the track as well, because this is obviously a very difficult track to negotiate, and we saw a fair number of mistakes being made out there. Just how difficult is it to get around this track for 79 laps?
It is very difficult, especially today was very slippery, lots of dust and marbles early on, so really not enough room to miss, if there was any, at Detroit, really. As well with the car, with the dampers are not really very adjustable. We have very limited range of things to do, so it's very difficult to get used to. You really have to sacrifice some mechanical grip and some aero efficiency to be able to get around here. So it is what it is. I mean, the top three really showed what's possible here with the IRO5. So I hope in the future we can have a better show, because I think 8 finishers is a bit disappointing, but yeah, we'll improve. I just want to shout out Marshall. He's in a pretty bad place at the moment, and his retirement really does not improve things. So after all the work he put this week, I really hope we can turn things around at the end of the season. The best is yet to come for us with Indy, so just watch out. We're not done yet for sure.
Absolutely, Marshall was looking really fast there early on in this race. One final question for you. Looking ahead 2 weeks to Auto Club, what's Vortex prospects looking like there?
We have lots of work to do at Auto Club. We didn't really do well last time we raced there. I'm out for this week, so I'll try to do the best I can to prepare the car, to help the guys prepare the car this week, so we can, or they can actually, do well during the race in 2 weeks. And we'll see. I'll be back for Phillip Island, hopefully, and we'll see from there. The title is definitely out of reach for any of the 4 of us. So it's really all about race wins. We'll try to make the best car we can, and give China some money.
Perfect. Well, that was Lucas LaVille, and again, a really solid drive from your defending champion, Lucas LaVille there. Thank you for your time, and back to you, DJ.
All right, it looks like we've got time for one more quick interview here with Andrew Adair-Saunders. And Andrew, a run out there for you today, being able to see it come home P8, but I've got to imagine that just bringing it home around a track like this has got to feel like an accomplishment.
It is. That's my 4th start here in the Classic IndyCar Series here in Detroit, and that's the first one I actually finished. And it is just a difficult race just to keep the focus, so I'm happy about that. But I'm still kicking myself that I had to make it a little bit difficult for myself.
Yeah, indeed. And talk to me a little bit about that recovery of trying to be able to come back from that just a little bit earlier on in the race and being able to push yourself forward.
Well, not really. I presume you are talking about the starting incident.
Yes.
Well, I just chose not to qualify, and I'm just batting on my shoulder to react in time to not get caught up in that. But other than that, it was just trying to keep it clean, even though I didn't keep it clean entirely. Then during my second stint, sadly, I wrecked it and stalled it. Sadly, only front wing damage. but it was a bit too early for my final stop, so in the final stint, I was forced to fuel safe to avoid a splash and dash. Not the best thing.
Not necessarily the best thing, but you made it work, Andrew. And, being able to bring it home, is there anybody you want to thank here today?
Well, of course, our sponsors from Iconic Motorsports, first of all, DRE for the fantastic spotter helping me out to focus on the track, mostly. Also, Playseat and Fanatic for the products I use. Also, Edify, Stave.com, Dynamic Solutions, and of course Racepot. And a final shout out that has to be due to the circumstances. I'm very sorry to what happened to you in the last 24 hours. I hope not too much is lost.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew, and congratulations again on bringing the car home.
Thanks.
All right, that was Andrew Adair Saunders, your 8th place finisher here today, and that's about going to wrap us up here on RaceSpotTV, but this has been the Pavement Recycling Systems Indy Grand Prix from Belle Isle, and on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, my partner here in the booth, Andrew Kinsella, as well as our director and producer, Connery Maddock, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action here today. Join us back on September 18th for Round 8 at Auto Club Speedway, and until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.